TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Central Texas Life. Today, I'm going to learn about something new. I was not familiar with this organization that is in Waco now. It's called Mentoring Alliance, and what they do is provide after-school care for kids, but in an environment that nurtures them and builds them up spiritually, and it just provides a safe place, as so many parents are working, and what do you do in that period of time after the school bell rings to let them out? So Anne Ferguson is here with us. Are you the CEO of this, or what's your title?
Yeah, no, great question. I'm currently the interim executive director for our Waco operation. We do have a location in Tyler as well. And I'm also the VP of program development. So I get the honor of building our programs and helping our teams in all regions really make it great.
And along with you, Delorian Stredic, who is... I know we're supposed to call you D-Lo, is that right?
You totally can. I love it. It's my favorite nickname.
And you have been over the summer camps and the things that have been going on this summer. So let's start off and talk about that. First of all, how did you get involved with Mentoring Alliance?
So I spent a lot of my college years serving at a different summer camp called Pine Cove.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Sure.
Yeah, and then I did their Forge program, which was like a 8-month intense time of me being developed as a person and as a leader. And then in that, some of my, what I call Forge brothers, already worked at Mentoring Alliance. And just from hearing about the things that Mentoring Alliance cares about, and then seeing the way that impacted them, made me go what is this place? It sounds like literally what I want to do. And so I looked into it, and then I ended up in Waco.
Very good. And Anne, I know your folks you grew up in Waco.
Yeah. I'm a Waco native, Waco ISD product, kindergarten through 12th grade, Baylor grad, and just Waco is home for me in every way. So,
but now you spent some time on the mission field, right?
I did, that's right. So I moved to Dallas after graduating from Baylor. I've been a nonprofit my whole career, spent about 10 years doing international work, going between Dallas and Zambia, Africa, which was incredible. And then just felt the tug to be home. And so moved back to Waco a little over a year ago, and just thrilled to be home. So.
But you had been in Tyler with Mentoring Alliance. So you've been with Mentoring Alliance for a few years.
For about a little over 3 years now. So got to spend some time in our Tyler office, which is where everything got started, and just really learned the ropes there. And then it's been a joy to get to be a part of helping us build the program here in Waco.
So let's talk about the origins of it. How old is this organization?
Yeah, so if we go way back, we actually started as the Boys and Girls Club of East Texas in the 90s. And so a group of pastors in the Tyler area saw a need for kids to have a place to go in those critical after-school hours. And so they got together, and they became a Boys and Girls Club and started serving kids all throughout the East Texas community. Around 2013 or so, they had hit some rough spots and felt like they needed a fresh start. And they brought in Kevin East, who is our current CEO, and said, help us sort of regain our footing and rebuild. And part of that was really reorienting the organization to be Christ-centered. And that was a really important part of their mission.
So it hadn't been before, or was it all just sort of?
It was
it's
there,
yeah.
yeah, but I think it was not necessarily a solid part of the mission, and so they just kind of wanted to reorient a little bit. So he came in and really helped rebuild a lot of things, which is great. And over time, he has a background in Pine Cove as well, and obviously summer is also a time when kids in our community need a safe, enriching place to go, and so summer camp got added. And then over time, we worked with a couple of local churches to take on a one-on-one mentoring program. And so when all of that kind of came together, it really seemed like we needed a different name to really express who we are. And that's where Mentoring Alliance came from, this idea that we really believe in mentoring. And we see it take shape in all of these different programs, but that's the core center, mission for us is mentorship and relationships. And we just do that in these different settings at times when kids and families really need just another person in the equation. And so so we've been operating as the Mentoring Alliance in Tyler for almost 10 years.
Okay.
And then in the last 5 or so, the board and the leadership really felt a calling to pursue possible expansion and to just look at opportunities for that. And Waco became a community they felt was a great option. And so in the summer of 2021, we launched here. We actually took over what was the Boys and Girls Club here. We're in their facility now and continued operating.
And where's that located?
So we're in North Waco. If you're familiar with the old North Waco Elementary, we're right across the street at 21st and Alexander. So we're right in the middle of that community, and we serve schools right now for after school in that area. And so we're really grateful to get to be a part of that community and serve in it.
So how does this model work? Is there a fee that you charge families, or how does that work?
Yeah, so for after school and summer camp, and I didn't mention this, but one of the important things about kind of how we're shaped or how we are designed is that we typically work in schools. So in Tyler, just as a for instance, we've had a lot more time to build the model there.
Right, you've been there 10 years. So
That's
yeah.
right. So our after school programs and our summer camp programs are actually in public schools.
Okay.
So we work with, what is it now, 4 districts in the Tyler area to provide after-school services at 21 elementary schools, and we have camp at 4 locations there as well. And so our fees are really designed to make it accessible for anyone who needs the program. We know that not everybody's coming from the same circumstances, and so we've designed a model that allows families in the most need to be able to access our financial aid services, bringing their rates down to much lower. So for instance, here in Waco at our on-campus locations, families who need it the most would pay $14 a week, which is a really affordable rate for after-school care. So we're really grateful that we've got the generosity of donors and supporters who help us make that possible.
So do you do fundraisers and that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yes, that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So we've had an annual luncheon here the last 2 spring seasons called Celebrate the One, where we just get to celebrate all that God's doing and our staff and our kids. And we've had a lot of great support from that. Of course, we're still building here in Waco and eager to find opportunities to really invite the community and to be a part of what we're doing.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about it. I mean, like I said, I don't have little kids in school. My granddaughters live elsewhere, and so I'm just sort of out of that whole scene. And I mean, it's I know though how crucial it is for a family to have people that they can trust to leave their kids with. So let's talk about the summer camps though. Let's talk about what all you did. And so it was one particular campus, one there at the
Robinson Elementary.
Oh, you were at Robinson. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah. It was really, really sweet and really, really fun.
Yeah.
Me and the staffers there definitely jumped right into it. And I mean, just like some of the core things that MA cares about got to be like celebrated there at Robinson.
Good.
So what that looked like was just like us having like our campers, that's what we call them, during the summer, who like we're waiting to see their counselors, and we're waiting to like get on our water inflatables and the go-karts and like
Plenty
all the
of
different
fun stuff to do.
fun things that we have to do. And then also just like as somebody who's like site coordinator, getting to walk by in the mornings and see them like in the classrooms with teachers and still like building on the foundation of the last year to prepare them for the year that they're going into. And
so
then
what kind of things have, I mean, I guess I'm imagining Vacation Bible School, but that's not that's not what it is.
On steroids.
Right? Oh, on steroids. All right.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it. It is very, very different because I grew up going to VBS.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very like your mom, aunt, grandma, grandpa,
they're
whoever.
making peanut butter sandwiches. That's what I remember.
Super chill. Summer camp is very different, and just from the school day and from VBS in the way that we are like constantly encouraging kids to like express themselves and to be excited about what group they're in and excited about what like the Lord is doing in them. And so they're walking through the hallways and it's loud and it's rowdy because they want to win the spirit stick. And like, it's a lot different and a lot more encompassing, which I really, really love about it.
Yeah. So how many kids?
It was about, on average, I would say from like 65 to 75, even 80 kids. So we just had quite the span.
Over how long a period of time, or just vary? Different ones would come different times.
Yeah, it was 8 weeks. And so we had some kids, and this is like the really sweet part about Mentoring Alliance, is that we would have some kids come for like almost all 8 weeks, and or we would have campers who just came like the last week, or, you know, people have vacations. And so there's a lot of flexibility in what we offer, and that just gives us an opportunity to know them more intimately and more deeply, and then we get to continue that into after school. And so it creates this like big circle that's really sweet for them and for us to grow.
Relationships.
Yeah. So as the fall starts, Robinson is going to be a big part of what y'all do, right?
Yeah, we've been so fortunate. Robinson ISD has been a great partner for us. I don't even exactly remember how we got connected to them, but almost right away it was clear that it was a really great partnership of just similar values and, you know, just a great dynamic. Our teams have worked really, really well together. So it was so much fun to do camp this summer. I want to mention something Dilo mentioned, but that is unique to our camp that you might have missed, and I think is really special. Robinson ISD and all the districts we work with actually provide teachers to come in and do some academic instruction during the summer. So we call it Mega Minds.
Important is
it's
that?
So important. And so Monday through Thursday,
because they
every day.
forget a lot.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Summer.
That's exactly right. So we do 45 minutes of reading and 45 minutes of math. And naturally, all the parents are like, yes. But a natural question is, do the kids actually enjoy that? But our teachers do such a great job because they have a lot more freedom in the summer than they do during the school year. So they take their lessons and they match it to our camp themes, and they make it fun and campy, and it fits the camp culture. And so, you know, kids actually have a fun time learning, and we've done some research on it, and what we've been able to determine is that kids who come to camp are able to minimize or eliminate summer slide. So they go back to school next week more ready to learn because they, you know, naturally, if you're getting some academic instruction.
Just a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Dust the cobwebs off, you know.
Yeah. So, but our partnership with Robinson is continuing this fall. We're going to be doing after school at 2 of their campuses, their primary and their elementary schools. We thought we were going to have 1 site. It's turned into 2, and we've had great demand. We're probably going to be serving around 120 students between those 2 campuses, and we're thrilled. Like Dilo said, a lot of the kids who are going to be at after school are kids we served this summer.
I was going to say, you're going to know them.
So, we just get to continue that relationship. Yeah. Even today, we had some of our summer camp staff who are now working after school talking about how giddy they are for school to start so that they can reconnect with these kids they had relationships with. And that's what it's about.
Well, you know, and you would hope they come from good, solid families, but, you know, a lot of kids just, they don't have some role models that can really, particularly, you know, young men. Do you have guys that are working with these kids?
We do. Yeah, we have some awesome guys on our team. In fact, one of them is a Baylor graduate, just an incredible, solid, just incredible guy. And he's going to be leading one of our sites out in Robinson. And I think our kids are going to be so fortunate to have that. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. This happened to me before. No worries. The buzzing of technology.
Right.
Which kind of brings me to my next point. Kids are under such pressure, and they're bombarded with so much just bizarre stuff these days. I feel for parents of kids nowadays with because of the technology and the phones and the social media and all the things that we know can be good, but it can really, really mess with a kiddo's head. Have you seen some effects of that, D'Lo, and when working with the kids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, do you say anything, like just put it down and don't worry about it? Because little girls particularly, they can internalize a diss or whatever from somebody and some making fun or what, I don't know. But it's magnified so much worse.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah, and I would say so I'm young. I think
You are very
I think I might be the youngest person on staff right now too, and so it kind of is like a way for me to understand though. Like I feel like I have a greater understanding for what they're experiencing because I grew up in like the beginning of like, if anybody remembers like Vine, and then came like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like all those things, and so I'm not super removed from it. But I'm aware of it. And so right now, since I'm older, I've been processing through like, how has what I've seen and like who I'm following, even on like social media or whatever, how is that impacting me? And even for me to be the adult there are things that like I have to unpack and have to address in parts of my identity right now that like the Lord is still showing me like the truth in that. And so I get to see our staff do that with our kids as well, of like, because they think for the girls, like you brought up the girls, like that they have to look a certain way, or for girls and boys that they have to perform a certain way to be like accepted and to be loved. And so I love that it's like really, really difficult for our kids to leave Mentoring Alliance and not know that they are valued as a person and not for what they do.
Right.
Or what they post or what they wear, but just because of who they are. And like, so they leave better knowing that. And we like, my prayer for our staffers, for my own growth and for our campers is that they would believe that. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of investment. And us just moving with intentionality, something that we celebrate that I love to point out when my staffers get to do this is like have one-on-one with kids. And it's just amazing how whenever you have fun, that it creates a space for them to say, like, hey, this is who I really am, and these are the things that I really struggle with, because they open up, and our staffers are so good about reminding them that they're loved, or, like, literally taking the lies and, like, being like, put that somewhere else. Like, it does not belong here. This is not who you are.
Yeah.
And it's baby steps, like I said, like, for kids to come to a sure foundation in who they are, and we love journeying with them through that.
Yeah, and they want to feel like they're a part of a group. They want to feel a part, and I think that's where some kids can really get off track that don't have that, that they're just alone in a room, parents are working, whatever, or disengaged, and they can get sucked into some really weird stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We really prioritize a sense of belonging for all of the kids in our program. We want them to know, like D'Lo said, that they have immense value and worth and dignity just because they were created in the image of God. And so we try at every turn of the page to be a culture where kids feel accepted for who they are. And even today, we're training our after-school staff this week, and just this morning we were talking about, appropriate interactions and inappropriate interactions because we want to have a safe program. But one of the things we talked about is our words should always speak life into these kids, speaking identity into them, helping coach and grow them and develop them. So a couple of fun things we do, specifically at camp, we have a red carpet that the kids walk every morning when they get to camp. It's one of our favorite parts of
very
camp.
Special.
Exactly. Yeah. And so our staff work in the morning and they cheer and they make it a big deal. And we have music and they get to dance down the carpet. And the message of that is, you matter to us. To you are a VIP just because you're you. But we also really try to prioritize identifying character qualities in kids that we see in them. So they're getting to be celebrated for the uniqueness of who they are. And we really invest in that. And so it really matters. And like D'Lo said, we have an incredible staff who is there because they really believe in it and they believe in investing in the lives of these kids. And they do such a great job at that.
So much of what you're saying reminds me of the great Fred Rogers and what he did in that television show so many years ago, because he knew there were kids at home watching that didn't know how special they were, and that's why so much of what he was trying to communicate to them was, you're special, you're you, and it's just so easy for these kids to get just sucked into having to look like somebody else, or I don't know.
there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And social media has certainly made our world smaller in some ways, in that it's just right at our fingertips all the time who we can compare ourselves to. And it's certainly a very real issue. And so for the length of time we get kids, you know, we really want to be a different voice and be a voice of encouragement and positivity. And
Well, it sounds like there's an opportunity for really long-term mentoring through what you're doing with and see them basically kind of grow up, which would just be awesome. And then, like you, kind of grow into the program. You know, you're growing your own staff.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, that's what's fun. We're even at a point, not in Waco yet, maybe someday, but in Tyler, we're even at the point where kids who kind of grew up in our program are now working in the program, or we do have a one-on-one mentorship program. So we have staff who are working with us in after school and summer camp in Tyler who were mentees, and they got a mentor through Mentoring Alliance, and it had an impact on them. So they've turned around and now said, I want to give back. And it's really cool to get to see that, that whole cycle. And hopefully we'll just have more and more stories like that.
Yeah. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to learn a little bit more about these two lovely ladies and what they're doing with Mentoring Alliance. So stay with us.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, streaming January 25th, only on Netflix.
And we are back with Anne Ferguson, who is the, help me again.
No, you're great.
Executive Director.
Yes.
Interim Executive Director.
That's right.
Mentoring Alliance. And the wonderful Delorian Stredic, who is, she's one of the employees, but she was ahead of the camp and gearing up for a great after school thing. So tell me about some of the other programs you have. We've talked about after school care and so forth.
Yep. So after school and summer camp are obviously our kind of big programs that we do in schools, but we also have a one-on-one mentoring program called Mentor Connect, and kind of think of a Big Brothers Big Sisters type of program where we match men and women who are interested in mentoring a child in our community with a child in need. And so it is, not as on the surface in some ways because we don't have an active program where they come and show up on certain days, but it's such an important part of who we are because it's in those mentoring relationships where we see so much transformation and change. And so we just got that started about a year ago here in Waco. We had to get a few other things off the ground, and we are almost to 20 matches of mentors and mentees, and we're just so thrilled about that. We love hearing the stories of transformation. It's mutually transformative. Because a lot of times our mentors, they're eager to serve, eager to invest in a child and a family, but they may not have always had exposure to different kinds of cultures or different families or different experiences. Mm-hmm. And so, we always talk about as mentors, you think you're going to go in and be the one to really impact a child or a family, but it goes both ways because we're both learning in the process. Yeah. And so just a plug, I guess, if anybody is interested in mentoring, we do have kiddos who are waiting for mentors, and we just would love the opportunity to connect people.
So what's involved with being? I presume you're working in this program as well.
I specifically work summer camp, but I talk to Rich often. He oversees that.
Okay, so I guess my practicality. What's involved with being a mentor?
Sure. So, of course, we go through a process of screening. We want to make sure we're finding great people.
You got to be sure you don't have an axe murderer.
Yes, exactly. Our
no axe murderers need apply.
Exactly. That's right. But we really hope that we're finding mentors for life.
Yeah.
But we know that there's a certain season in the early stages of mentoring where our investment and our coaching is most beneficial. And so our program is designed to match people who we hope continue that relationship for the long haul. But our investment, our involvement in that is about a 3-year process where we say we're going to really be hands-on and coach you through these first few years of this relationship, which means we're going to check in with you regularly. We're going to provide ongoing training. We're going to talk to the mentee and to their family and see how things are going with them. We're going to do an annual sort of check-in conversation with everybody to see how it's going. And we just want to walk alongside of our mentors and mentees and their families for those first few years. We do occasionally provide some fun activities and events for everybody to come to together, which is really great. But it's really life on life, and we encourage our mentors to find ways to connect with their mentees outside of our time with them. So that might mean going to church together on a Sunday. That might mean going to get ice cream. It might mean going to a baseball game. Or our mentors and mentees are very creative. They come up with all kinds of fun things to do, which is awesome. And so it's really, we ask mentors to see their mentees a couple of times a month. We don't want to have big, long gaps, right, where they haven't talked.
Right, just check in regularly.
Checking in and seeing them and just finding out what's going on in life. And I think when we talk about mentoring, even at my church, there's a mentorship program for women. And sometimes it can be hard to get people to commit to being a mentor because it seems like this big, tall task, you know.
And a lot of time.
It can feel intimidating. But our encouragement is that, you know, anybody can mentor. It's really just about inviting a child to be a part of your life or being a part of theirs. And that's really where the best mentorship happens.
And what about the mentee? How do they get in touch with you to?
Yeah, so we find our mentees through a lot of different sources. So first, our program. We know that there are kids in our program and after school or summer
They're
camp.
already aware of what you do, what you're about.
Exactly. And so our staff can refer a child who they think is in need of a mentor. And then we work with the schools where we partner and talk to their staff and sort of educate them on our mentorship program. And we provide them with a referral form, a digital referral form where they can recommend kids to us for that. And so we're just working every relationship we can where we know there's lots of kids who need mentors. And so we're really trying to work in those avenues to identify them.
I guess it's got to be really rewarding for you, D'Lo, right?
Yeah, it was really interesting too because I think it was like yesterday. We have somebody who oversees Mentor Connect, and he had on his shirt that said, "Be the mentor that you wish you had." And he was talking about how so many people like see that and they go, "So what are y'all doing?" Because I mean, everybody either has somebody that like they looked up to, who invested in them and they've gotten to see like the reward from that, or you go, "Man, I look back and nobody was there, like to really tell me who I am, or nobody was there to like point me toward my full potential, or like nobody was there to tell me that I didn't have to be a product of where I came from." And so it's just like really rewarding in the way that we get to be people who foster that. And it's just like a lot of days where I look at it or I look at my staffers and I go, it's kind of crazy that we get to do this. Like my job right now is to like share the gospel and to remind people of who they are and to build them up in that. And that's just like the craziest thing ever. Like I'm just honored to be a part of it.
They pay me to do this.
I literally can't believe it sometimes. I go, what? This is crazy. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's great. I've just thoroughly enjoyed learning more about Mentoring Alliance from you both. I like to end these little interviews with it's a little questionnaire. It's similar to the one the late, great James Lipton would do inside the Actors Studio. Yeah. And so I'm going to kind of ping pong these questions, but I'm going to start with Delorian. I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would say it can be any word. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I'm not worried about being a bad
I would
word.
say the word grace right now, which seems very, like, basic for what we do. But I think a lot of times, like, I have to realize that I get to give grace and receive it, like, daily and constantly. So that's been, like, a big thing for me.
All right. I'm going to ask Anne, what is your least favorite word?
Ooh, that's hard. I was over here thinking about my
your
favorite
favorite
word.
word. I see that.
And now I've got to flip
That's right.
and think about it. All right. The first thing that came to mind was no. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah. No, I've I've heard that before.
Well, I mean, it's the first thing that came to mind. I'm sure there's
I've
something.
also heard moist.
Yes, that too. That also
I
came
was
to
literally
mind.
thinking about
Yes,
that.
no, I have a lot of friends who feel like that's the worst possible word in the world.
Okay, so I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I am really interested in new ideas that I've never heard before. So I love to learn. So when I sort of discover something I didn't know about or I've never really learned about, I just turn on. Like, that is so exciting to me. And so, but I would also say it may be similar to that, like a new challenge. Especially, I mean, even at work, if we have got a problem that we need to solve, I'm just like, ooh, I want to do that. That sounds interesting. So,
But there are probably some you just say not.
well,
not
fair
do
enough.
it too, but
Fair enough.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
I'll ask you the same question, Dilo. What turns you on creatively and spiritually and
yeah.
emotionally?
That's good. I would say, I don't know. I first of all really love children's books.
Yeah.
They really take me back to the basics, and they're
Okay.
really fun. And just seeing other creativity helps. But also just like, I'm a big like life person. Like, I'll take like little moments, and they will serve as like anchors for me in where I want to go, or like who I want to be, or what I want to do next. So like a really small picture of this is, I was telling somebody, my roommates, I was telling them about this parent from summer camp who literally drove their camper around to the front of the building. I was like tearing some things down, and they got out and admired her artwork on like the sidewalk. And I was like, there's no way that they just got out just to do that, you know? And then they just looked at it and went, that's amazing, and like left. And so little things like that make me go, how can I like go the extra mile to make people feel celebrated and like celebrate the one? And so I just really take a lot from life
Yeah.
and run with it.
Yeah. Okay, so what turns you off creatively or spiritually or emotionally?
Busyness.
Yeah.
If I'm doing too much all the time and it's like everywhere, like I'm at work, I'm at the store thinking about it, and then I'm going to sleep thinking about it. Busyness is a killer. So just having to really slow down and like create that space, because it won't happen if you don't make time for it. Something is always going to come up, and so I just have to be really mindful in that way.
What about you?
I totally agree. I was going to say, I wasn't necessarily going to use the word busy, but I was going to say lack of space or margin. You know, when you feel like you're overextended, it's sort of hard to tap into that part of you that wants to explore and to be creative. And to, for me, certainly to like invest in learning something new and trying different things. And so I totally agree with you, Dilo. I'm on the same page with you on that.
Okay, what's your favorite sound, Anne?
Oh, my niece and nephew.
Oh, okay.
The voice of my niece and nephew,
Okay.
for sure. Just anytime they're around, it's just my favorite thing in the world.
Okay. What about you? Sound.
Oh, I don't know. Can it be music?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, if there's some kind of like jazz or something that's
yeah.
like really, really relaxed, I
Me too.
love instruments and stuff. So I've been really like listening to that recently.
Yeah, okay. Okay, what sound do you hate?
Do you know?
Loud sirens.
I've
Or-
heard that from many people. yeah.
Yes, any kind of big, loud, blaring noise is not my favorite thing.
I also heard alarm clock.
Yes, that too. Yes, that fits.
Goes
That's
real
why I
loud
keep
and
my
it
phone
can
on
be loud and
silent all the time.
Blaring, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't grow up with an upstairs. I just had like a,
Right.
whatever you call it, regular home,
Yeah.
single story. There you
Yeah,
go.
so you didn't want to go.
So yeah,
Quiet
whenever
down.
there's like things happening, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? So that
Yeah.
kind of gets me sometimes.
What other profession would you like to have tried? Or maybe it's still to try. You're both very young.
I always wanted to be a lawyer. I always
Really?
wanted to
Okay.
go to law school, so that's a little bit of a sad answer. But I guess secretly deep down as a kid, I always wanted to be a backup singer. So
Oh, okay.
here's my fun one.
There you go. All
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm. Two things. I have two.
Okay.
One, I grew up watching Cake Boss, so I was
Oh, yeah.
convinced that I was gonna be like the next Carlos, like in that industry.
I love that show, yeah.
Now I just watch Is It Cake and I Dream. And another thing is
You're
a
welcome
wedding.
to make us
I was
cake
going to say, do you bake
anytime.
cakes?
No, I don't.
Those are
Another
pretty,
thing is
pretty interesting cakes he'd make.
Mhm.
Wait, have you watched Is It Cake?
No.
No, it's on Netflix.
So that's something new.
Yes,
Look
they'll
at
literally
Yeah.
take like this microphone and
and it will be and they'll cut it.
and then it's like a high
And you'll be
stakes
eating it.
thing. Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. And then the time crunch. And then I always wanted to be a wedding coordinator too.
Oh.
So like ideally in the future, if I could have in like an event venue
yeah.
and that just be like what I do, I would love that.
You know a little bit about that.
I was gonna say, Dila, I don't know if you know this. My mom's been a wedding coordinator forever.
Her mother
So
did so many weddings, and I would sing for weddings. She had this little bitty card. I would say, "Do you have your card with you?" And her little hand would stick outside the door. If we see this little card, it was time for us to start whatever the song was.
that's right. I grew up going to weddings. 'cause
I bet you did.
I spent a
You
lot
know,
of life at
you
weddings.
know all the
so
ins and
Yeah.
outs.
I'll bring
Is
her
Lois-
to work one
Is
day.
she still doing
Yes.
weddings?
She
or
is. Yeah,
she's still-
she retired from Baylor several years ago, but
Right.
she's still not as many as she used to do. But
Yeah.
she still does quite a bit of weddings. She loves it, and
well,
it's just,
she runs a tight ship.
She
I mean,
does.
it comes off just perfect. But anyway,
Yes.
yeah, that's so funny you would say that. Do you know what you would not want to do professionally?
It's hard to narrow it down to a specific field, but I would say probably anything that I hate to use the word monotonous, but because I really like new and different things, I think any kind of work that gives me purpose and an opportunity to grow is what really I gravitate towards. So it's hard to exactly nail it down, but yeah, something that
Yeah,
would be
if
kind of
you
like
watch how
the
it's
same
made,
routine.
How it's made, where they're doing little widgets that are going down it.
Yes.
That would not be your.
I would not do well at that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's like a lot of purpose in different things, but I feel
Oh,
like it'd
yeah.
be hard for me to be like a CEO or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the further that I get away from like the people, the more I'm like, oh no. And
Yeah.
so I would say anything where I'm just like not able to really connect with people would be hard.
Okay. One last question: when you arrive at the pearly gates, what do you want to hear the Lord say?
Is it cliche? Well done. Well done,
Yeah,
good and faithful
It's scriptural,
servant.
I think.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
I would literally say the same thing. And then just like adding to that, like good and faithful servant. I've heard that a lot and have read it. And a lot of the times too, it's so easy to like chase success instead of faithfulness. And the second that we like get away from that, it becomes like really consuming and really tiring emotionally
Yeah.
and spiritually. And so just to be found faithful is a big thing for me that I'm having to actively believe right now.
Well, you're doing a faithful work for the children of McLennan County, and I appreciate so much what Mentoring Alliance is doing. And how can folks get more information?
Yeah, so mentoringalliance.com is our website. Same thing for our social media. So if you go online, you can find us. Our email addresses are there. You can reach out. We would love to visit with anyone who's interested in learning more.
All right. Well, D-Lo, Anne, thank you both so much.
Thank
For
you
being
so
with
much,
us.
Thank
Anne. We
you.
appreciate you.
And thank
Been
you for
fun.
joining us today for Central Texas Life. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.